Well, it's been made official. Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic are coming back. They're coming back off the bench with minutes restrictions. We'll talk about what that means and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the content for today. So, Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic will officially be making their returns to the Chicago Bulls tonight when they face off against the Charlotte Hornets. Both will be on minutes restrictions and be coming off the bench, at least in this initial time period. And so Nikola Vucevic, who's missed the last 5 games with a strained groin, Zach LaVine, who's missed 17 games with a right foot injury. And Zach LaVine actually talked about his return and how excited he is. He did that here.
Exactly. It's good seeing y'all, man. Obviously, you're playing tonight.
Yeah, I'm back, man. It feels good to, get off this night a little bit. I've been away for a month, so, I'm happy.
How are you feeling?
I feel good. Being hurt is never good, and rehabbing is some of the worst things in the world, but, I'm just glad to come out here and, be able to, do the hustle.
Vooch just told us he's going to be on a minutes restriction, I assume.
Yeah, we're doing the same thing. I don't know Vooch's exact, but we're being both minute restrictions, start off the bench, and then, build our way back into it.
Zach?
How many minutes exactly?
I think it's going to be anywhere from 25 to 30. That's what he told me, obviously. Let's hope it stays consistent.
How have you felt, Zach, just recovering, working your way back in?
I feel good. It sucked, sucked getting back in condition, doing all this running and stuff. I know you guys saw me running all around the gym the last 3-4 weeks, but, that's what it takes to come back. The foot feels strong, it feels better, so, hopefully I keep it that way.
When you've looked at this team over the last 17 games without you, what has stood out to you, and how do you feel like you need to come back in and incorporate yourself?
Just come back and keep doing the same thing they were doing. We had a great rhythm in December, doing the same thing that we were working on in training camp. It was, great to see it actually start coming in and clicking. Run, play hard, take open shots and try to create for others is the main thing that I've been looking at, and, just compete.
Did that give you any more belief in what you guys are trying to implement offensively?
I wouldn't say belief. It's the things that we were trying to do during training camp, and it takes a while for that stuff to, come into, fruition. And, I'm just excited to go out there and be with my guys, especially at a time where, things started clicking and the vibes are a lot better.
And so this, again, is just, like I said, stepping into the right. It's important that Zach LaVine comes back with the right mindset. And maybe even him coming off the bench kind of allows him to kind of get more in rhythm, playing with that second unit that does need some scoring on it big time, and kind of staggering those minutes initially is going to be big. Now, it seems like Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic are going to be on about 25 to 30-minute restrictions, which is basically a full game. They're coming off the bench, though, in their initial game back. And, that's just trying to acclimate them back to the game and in the right way and manner. So, we'll see what that means and how Billy Donovan now uses 2 players that were in their starting lineup in their core 3 coming off the bench, and how that helps add depth, especially against a team like the Charlotte Hornets. Vooch and Zach should absolutely cook the bench of the Charlotte Hornets. Now, that's not all going to happen for sure, but, we'll see what happens with that. Now, Zach LaVine did say this, that his main objective to come back and go out there and just get back to playing. If I let opinions and people affect me, I wouldn't be where I am at today. So hopefully with that said, with Zach LaVine coming back with that mindset and kind of focused on the game of basketball, we get the things that we want to see out of Zach LaVine. That is him executing, catch and shoots, playing well, those type of things. That's what Zach LaVine is most important for this team and for Zach LaVine in this return, is that Zach comes back and fits into what the Bulls do nicely, help changes the narrative around him and how he impacts winning, and it can help the Chicago Bulls, who have definitely needed some additional scoring punch in their last couple of losses and could have used that. Now, again, we're facing the Charlotte Hornets today, so it is what it is when it comes down to it, but this is a big step in the right direction for the Chicago Bulls, and it's good to kind of know now we can eliminate those questions on what role he's going to be playing. He's going to be coming back off the bench. Now, I didn't actually think that would be the case. I did think that Billy Donovan was going to immediately go back to starting Zach LaVine, but, considering the injury, things like that, wanting to get back in slowly, it does make sense. So I shouldn't have been surprised at the case of that. Now it's just we can eliminate all the other questions, except the trade questions. Those are always going to be there, and more so focus on what the product of the on the basketball court is for Zach LaVine and the Chicago Bulls overall. If he's able to come in and perform, the trade scenarios, whatever works itself out down the road, if he stays here, whatever that is, that we'll talk about that as it comes along. But the most important thing right now is getting these two players back on the court, and then we can see how the Bulls perform over that. It's been an interesting time period with the last couple of losses. So really, really excited to see what this looks like now with the Chicago Bulls team and how Zach LaVine fits in this. This is, I don't want to overstate it, but I don't want to understate it either. This is a big deal as far as how this could work out if it does work for the Chicago Bulls. Because if it works, it could be a beauty to have an additional 20-point scorer with the gravity that Zach LaVine can. Yes, you want to take the ball out of his hands, things like that. That could be really big for a team that's already been moving the ball around and playing pretty solidly on offense, right? And yeah, he has his own defensive limitations, but I think we have the players that we can stagger those minutes with and get him some really good defensive rotations in there as well. And then Nikola Vucevic coming back. I know that a lot of this video has been talked around Zach LaVine because of how long he's been out, but make no mistake about it. Nikola Vucevic coming back for this team and adding to that big man depth, even though he's coming off the bench initially, I wouldn't be surprised if, next week, this is the last game of the week, the Bulls have a few days off. They don't play again until Monday. At that point, then we see Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic probably back in the starting lineup at that point in time. But having Vuce back out there with his passing, what he's able to do in the mid-range, things like that, that's going to help this Bulls team as well quite a bit. So this is really looked up as a tune-up game for these two players coming off the bench. We'll see if how long that continues. But like I said, with having the 2 days off before we play again on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Chicago time, before we take the court again on Monday, the Bulls will be able to, Zach LaVine and Vuce will be able to say they had a game in there, a couple of practices under their belt, and then maybe, especially with that minutes restriction being 25 to 30 minutes, which is still pretty high for players the caliber of Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic to be able to come back and play that amount of minutes right away. We'll be able to get them back into the starting lineup and acclimate it that way as well. But let me know what you guys think. How excited are you to see Vuce and Zach LaVine back on the court for the Chicago Bulls? Let me know all that down below. Make sure you guys are also following the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. Now, I appreciate you guys so much, man. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullscentralpod@gmail.com. You can send us a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, which happens tomorrow and Sunday. The number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.